I never thought the day would come where I would be reviewing a handheld device that features a crank. That's right, this handheld here is called the Playdate, and its unique selling point is the fact that you can use a crank to play the games installed on the device. As mentioned in my unboxing last week, it feels like the handheld has been in the works for years now. I actually remember the day it was first revealed in an Edge magazine back in early 2019. Now, 3 years later, it has landed on my desk to review. And before I jump into the review, I'd quickly like to mention that A Handheld History has officially been fully backed, and it only took us 24 hours. For those new around here, we're launching a bespoke coffee table book about the history of handhelds, featuring the most popular and the most bizarre portable consoles of the last 40 years or so. If this interests you and you would like to pre-order a copy, head over to ahandheldhistory.com to be a part of bringing this incredible book to life. Now, let's jump into the Playdate review. My first impressions after unboxing it were joyful. In the hand, it feels incredibly well made. The bright yellow shell alongside the pocket-friendly design gives it this adorable, cute aesthetic, and I can't help but love it. It's as if it belongs in a Toy Story movie. It's also incredibly thin, coming in at just 9mm, which is similar to that of a pencil. To go with the whole minimal look, there's not that many buttons, only the essentials such as your D-pad, A, B, a sleep-wake button, and finally your home button, which gets you into the settings. When you turn it on, some of you may be surprised as to what screen the team has chosen. It's not backlit, it's not frontlit. This 2.7-inch screen is a 1-bit black and white super reflective screen, similar to what you'll see on an e-reader. This feature alone is what makes the device so unique, but at the same time it's what holds me back from taking the Playdate out with me, and at times it's the feature that stops me from playing it in the evenings. All it needs is for me to think, oh, I'm nowhere near a light source, or I'm on the wrong chair in my living room with no light, for me to not bother playing on it. At times this does make it annoying to play on, and I do wish the screen was backlit instead. But that aside, the screen when perfectly visible is incredibly crisp, with distinctive contrast making games and levels easy to understand. The plus side of having this screen is that the battery life lasts for a very long time. We've seen around 7 hours of gameplay from one charge, but the magic is when it's in sleep mode. Sleep mode will show a clock constantly, and even then the Playdate can sit there for almost 2 weeks on one single charge, showing the time with an always-on screen. To me, that's pretty neat. Now let's take a look at the crank, as it's one of the most unique ways to play a video game on a handheld. The crank is what grabs gamers' attention, and it's what allows you to jump into games using a very new movement, far different compared to the simplicity of pressing a button that we are all used to. The quality of the crank should also be mentioned. It's made from small blocks of metal, and in no way does it feel stiff, and it has this very fluid motion to it, and there's literally zero tension to it when playing games, making it incredibly easy to use. At first I was worried that I would snap it off, but it's almost impossible to do that due to the sheer quality of the materials used on the crank. Even the plastic tip spins with you, giving it a very natural movement. It also folds down and packs itself away so that it doesn't catch on your pocket or bag when transporting it. Overall, in terms of aesthetics, the Playdate is very pleasing to look at. It's portable, slim, sleek, modern, and impressively lightweight. But one issue I have when playing with the Playdate is comfortability. I have played on this for hours on end, and one thing that keeps popping up is how uncomfortable my thumb gets on games that excessively use the crank. First of all, I have to find a place where I can reflect light off the screen. Then when I pull out the crank, I find myself in this really awkward position where I get confused on where to place my left thumb in order to grip the handheld effectively without it pushing it out of my hand with the excessive cranking. Hopefully this clip gives you an idea, and you can see that my left thumb is incredibly tense and trying to maintain control of the handheld without the screen shaking uncontrollably. It's fine for 10 minutes or so, but any more than that and my thumb starts to ache. This happened quite a lot. Not to a point where I was in pain, but to a point where I'd put the handheld down for a few minutes to come back to when there's still blood in my thumb. Now, I'll be honest, there's only a handful of games that make you spin the crank at high speed, so this won't be an issue for everyone. But unfortunately for me, my favourite games on this device are the ones that use the crank a lot. Most games use a hybrid of crank and action buttons, so you should be okay. Let's talk about the games, because it really brings the handheld to life. On release, Panic will be releasing 2 games a week for 12 weeks, and lucky for me, I've had a chance to test them all, and I can immediately tell a lot of work has gone into crafting each one of these games. The indie developers involved have done an incredible job, and there's a wide number of games to choose from. For example, my favourite one is a game called Flipper Lifter, a simple game that gets you to take penguins to the correct level of the hotel using the crank to go up and down the levels. It's simple, a lot of fun, and a great use of the crank, especially when you're racing against the time and things get a little stressful. My second favourite game is Whitewater Wipeout, a game that you Atari Lynx fans will be very familiar with. This is a surfing game that uses the crank to control the direction of the surfer and allows you to spin the crank to do some pretty sweet moves. Again, it's simple, time consuming, and there's a huge skill gap that when hit gives you an awesome sense of achievement and allows you to put hours in it without feeling bored. Another game I enjoy is one called Executive Golf, an easy to understand golf game that gets you to hit your ball all the way to the next level through office spaces, allowing you to unlock special hits and power-ups. Again, it's a great use of the crank. The Playdate is jam-packed with different types of games, from fast-paced games that get you sweating, to story-based games with incredible graphics, to then chilled-out golf games that you can play for a few minutes and put in your back pocket to play where you left off a few hours later. Also, this sense of new games unlocking as the weeks go by is interesting. It almost feels like a battle pass, but completely free. This gives you a chance to explore each game without being overwhelmed when new games are automatically dropped into your library every week through Wi-Fi. And because the Playdate is open source, gamers and indie developers can make their own games for the handheld. And Playdate have even gone as far as making this software free for every single customer, allowing newcomers to the handheld scene to get their hands dirty in game development. This was a great shout for Panic, and it's why it's hard to hate this handheld. Everything it stands for is good, and you can tell a lot of hard work has gone into this to make it accessible to everyone. And because the team is so small and the device so unique, it does cost Panic around about $100 to make one single Playdate. And that's not taking in marketing, development, and all of the other areas that are required to run a business like this. $179 for this handheld does sound expensive, and I couldn't agree more, but I can appreciate that the Panic team have priced this as cheaply as they can to keep their business afloat. To create a handheld from scratch with a whole new team in an age where there's chip shortages, complications with shipping, and a constant recession is insanely impressive. And to this standard, just wow, they've nailed it. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. It's an incredibly niche handheld, and it's not a handheld that I can personally recommend for everyone. This handheld is targeting gaming enthusiasts who love to explore new ways to play games. This is by far one of the most unique ways I have played video games on the go. The screen, is annoying, and I wish it was backlit. I wish it was more comfortable, and I wish it was cheaper. But do I love it, and will I be playing it for years to come and waiting in excitement for new games to be dropped into my library? Yes, absolutely. I personally love the Playdate. That may be the handheld collector in me talking, but I really think this device is doing great things for the handheld industry, and it goes to show there's still companies out there innovating and building awesome products for us to consume when it feels like the world around us is crumbling. It's a pick up and play handheld that sparks joy to its users every time they pick it up. The simple UI, easy to understand games, and fluid controls is what makes this one of the easiest consoles to play on when you're taking a break from work, you're on a bus, or you're in a park with friends. But just remember, you will always need a light source to play this. No light, no play, and because of that, it will annoy you at times. But that flaw in itself is what makes it a magical time to play on when you do have that light. So there you go, a quick review of the Playdate. If you want to see it in written form, hit up our website, and please do check out ahandheldhistory.com if you want to see our new book that we're launching. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.